So today we're going to be continuing to play Doodle Empires. Now in the last Doodle Empires episode we saw a ton of things happen, and more specifically a ton of things happen over here in Northern Europe with the establishment of Prussia, who then united with Sweden. We saw a bunch of Danish countries appear, France became almost entirely filled in, and some new countries were established along the coast of the Adriatic Sea. So if you guys do enjoy today's video on Doodle Empires, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're getting really close to 200,000 subscribers, around 2,500-ish away, and once again, when we hit that milestone, or right before we hit that milestone, I will be going live. So we will be getting the experience live, hopefully. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. All right, so coming down here to France, there is just one little issue that we have, and that is that it still isn't technically filled in all the way. There's just one little piece of land right here, and also like one pixel right here. That's really annoying. So we do get this sea foamy kind of country right here. We're going to draw a card for them, and they're going to be building a castle. So at this point, it's more likely than not, a lot of these countries around the red team are seeing them as a threat. So more likely than not, they're going to build their castle right at the end of this river right here. And we're going to be calling it Fort Clement Ferrand. But next up, we get the gold team over here in this area between France and Spain, and they're going to be getting a new nation, which means actually they're not getting nothing, and we're just going to go form a new nation. So I think we're going to come over here to the northern-ish coast of Germany, and we're going to put a new country right here. And we're going to be giving them the name of Saxony. So like I said, they'll be on this little northern coast area of Germany. We'll give them a few of these islands, and we'll make them follow this river on the inside, maybe just going in between these two like this, and then expanding them across over into the Dutch area and around this little bay. And there we go. Now their capital city is going to be right here in Bremen. And now we get the red French country. They're going to be getting a split. So this is the biggest and most powerful country on this map, and they're going to be splitting into two pieces. Now as for the name of this new country, we're just going to be calling them Lower France because it's such a large area. But indeed, Lower France will be breaking away from Upper France. And the new borders of this map of France look something like this. So the red team loses a ton of land and a ton of power, and now all of the countries like the blue team and even the seafoam green country are probably regretting building all of these forts that they have on the border of the red team, because I mean, are you really going to need them at this point? Red France is looking pretty weak now. Also, just for the sake of making the screen look a little bit more bearable to look at with all the names, we're going to hide all of the names of the fortresses so we can, like I said, see the colors of the countries a little bit better. I'm also going to start adding in a few more major cities. So like we have Dunkirk over here in northern red France, and then we have Brussels just a little ways southeast. We'll add another city in the orange team here, but we will make their capital Lyon, and that is actually kind of out of the way of all the other countries. So the orange team at this point, their major population centers are kind of far away from any potential enemies, so they don't really have to worry about being invaded just yet, or maybe even at all. But we're going to come over here to the blue team. We're going to give them a major city in Cayenne. We'll give the gold team a major city over here in Pau. The pink team will get a major city in Murcia, as well as Malaga and Montpellier. So for now, I think that's all of the major cities I'm going to add. I know that there are some pretty large countries like England that would probably have more major cities at this point, but at the same time, England is a fairly new country. They do have a lot of land. I don't know if they would necessarily have like the development at this point to have another major city. But anyway, we now get South Croatia, and we're going to be forming a new nation. And I think here we're going to add Sicily. So they, of course, will be in Sicily, but also they're going to be taking over some of the surrounding islands like Malta, and then all the islands between here and Africa. We'll move them up the boot of Italy so they won't technically just be Sicily. Maybe this is more like the Kingdom of Two Sicilies. We're not going to take any land from South Croatia. We're going to let them keep their little colonies around here. And we will push these guys up on the border of the I don't remember what these guys are. I think they're the Corsicans. They just have a really big colony in just Italy and France. So yeah, we'll push them up against the Corsicans. We'll also push them up this coast, and then we'll get rid of this little misinput right here. But yeah, the Kingdom of Sicily is more like the Kingdom of just southern Italy. That is a lot of land for them. We'll go ahead and put their capital city over here in Palermo. And now we get the Corsican country, which is actually called Liguria. So these guys get a small expand. And I think we're going to be expanding them in mainland Italy. So we'll push them up against this mountain range. And okay, so it was a small expand, not a large expand. So now they just okay, well, we're going to ignore that. Actually, we're going to draw another card for them. And okay, they're going to build a castle. That's fine, I guess. I tried to fix this issue, but the game didn't want me to. Anyway, they'll be putting their fort over here on the border between them and the pink team, and they'll be calling it Fort That. We now get the pink team, speaking of, and they're going to be getting, well, they're going to be getting us into the Age of Unity. So we'll go ahead and select them again, and okay, well, that's not very unity of this era. So now after having the largest country on the map, the red team split into two, we now see the new largest country on the map, the pink team, split into two as as well. And notably in the Age of Unity, which is not supposed to have any kind of splitting happening, well, in my head at least, but I figured they would be uniting with like maybe the gold team, but no, they're splitting the two. So let's see what that looks like. Now, as for the name of this new split off, we're actually just going to be calling it Spain, and that's because it's splitting off in all of the Spanish areas. So moving up around this coast and then up towards Barcelona, which is the capital of the pink team, we'll wrap them around this river right here, but I don't plan on giving them any land north of it. We'll maybe give them this one little island over here, and yeah, that's going to do it for them. So even though they have this much brush left, we're not going to be giving them any more land because I feel like it would make the pink team a little bit too weak, a little bit too small. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll make their capital city Murcia, and we now randomly select our next country, which is the Bordeaux country. I don't know how to pronounce or say that, so we're not going to. They're getting a medium expand. Interesting. So as far as who they would actually attack here, because they can't colonize any land, they have to go on the offensive. They can choose between the gold team or the lime team over here or the seafoam green team. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think they would be able to invade the gold team due to the fact that they have two major cities and also a fort, whereas this country only has its capital city. But the seafoam green country over here has been building their defensives on the border of the orange team, meaning they may not be ready for an attack by the gray team. So that's what we have happening. They'll move in to this territory. They'll focus on capturing all of the land that is south of this river up here. I have to use a very small brush for this. And after that, they'll start to invade inwards to try to get a little bit more land. But the main aim of their war isn't to get the capital city or anything. It's just to expand a little bit further inland. And that's exactly what they accomplish in this war. So the seafoam green country does keep their capital city, but they lose a ton of land across this northern riverbank. We get South Croatia once again, and they're going to be forming a union, and I think what makes the most sense for them to form a union with is the Croatian country. So they just unite together, and instead of having their name be South Croatia, they will now just form normal Croatia, and it's a little bit more than Croatia. It's going all the way from Italy down to Albania and also has land in the Italian peninsula. So I feel like actually a better name for this country would be like Adriatica, so something like this instead. Now their capital city will be staying over here in Zadar, but now we come over here to Brittany and we get to select them and see what they do, and they're going to be splitting. So this is going to be pretty simple. Their little colony in Ireland will be breaking away and forming just Ireland. I'm not going to give them any more land. I'm going to have them keep all of their peninsula land because it wouldn't make sense if Ireland had a colony in Brittany. I don't know how that would actually happen. So even though we had that much brush remaining, we're going to just keep it at this. I don't know if that like makes some people mad. I feel like for most people, they understand that. So I just want to clarify that just in case. Anyway, these guys' capital city will be right over here in Cork. And we now randomly select over here to England, who will be getting a small expand. Now, I'm not too sure why the brush color up here is still of Ireland because we did select England. But they're going to go ahead and they're going to fully colonize all of Wales. And they're also going to begin to move up the British Isles towards the country of Scotland all the way up here. But now we go down here to Lower France, we select them, and they're going to be building a castle. And they're going to be building a castle right on the outskirts of Paris. This fort will be called Fort Melun, and I do apologize to my French viewers. I know that I think Paris is actually right within this little circle here, but I misplaced it, and pretty much all the cities on this map are probably not going to look right because of the projection on the map. It's different than like Google Maps, which is what I use to figure out where the names of the regions are and figure out the names of the cities are. So yeah, a little bit of projection issue, but yeah, moving on. We get the red team now, and they're going to form us a new nation. So at this point, we have filled in a lot of the outskirts of Western Europe, if not of all of Western Europe, and even Central Europe, so there isn't a lot of coast to put a new country at. And I know it isn't a requirement to have a coastal area for a new country. Like I could just plot one down right here in the middle of Germany, but I do kind of want to see these countries start to fill in the map a little bit and then have splits, so it's kind of more realistic in the sense of nation building. But as for our new country, it is going to be none other than Norway. We will go ahead and stick them along the entire Norwegian coast over here in the Baltic Sea area, so they will look something like that, and their capital city of course will be all the way up here in the city of Oslo. We now get over here to Sicily, we select them and they get a small expand. So let's go ahead and give them a little colony down here in Africa on the border of Algeria. In fact, let's have them invade a little bit of Algeria. We'll wrap all the way down here to Tunisia and then finish off not at the border of the world, but pretty close to it. And now there's kind of like a Sicilian empire going on. Even though this is a brand new country, it is still here. So we're going to come over here to Denmark. We're going to be pulling a card for them. They're going to be getting a new leader who likes to conquer and also is a desert nomad. So unfortunately for him, there's no deserts in Europe. But we're going to select Denmark again, and they're going to get a small expand. So let's have them invade down and colonize this land to the south of their country, right with the border of Saxony and the border of the Copenhagen country. No, it's whatever that is in Danish. And we just randomly selected them. I swear we did. But on the topic of them, I guess we're also going to expand them down in this area up against this river here. And then we'll also expand their coast in the Swedish area, so along the Baltic Sea. We just randomly selected Denmark again. Okay, I guess this video is the video of the Danes. Okay, so split. Are we serious? So the area of Denmark that is going to be splitting away is the southern area, and in Danish it's called Syddanmark, along the lines of that, but we're going to be coloring them in like this. And yeah, I don't know why I have so much brush left, because if I went any more, it would definitely be over 50%, which is not what a split is. That would just be a complete takeover. So we're going to stop the brush there. And we'll put their capital right here in Kiel, which is a city in Germany, but it's Danish in its timeline. All right, now we get Prussia. So I'm interested to see what the game has us do for them. They're going to build a castle. Okay. I don't really know if they need to build a castle, but I guess we'll put it on here on the border with the brown country. And we'll call it Fort Ronneby. It's kind of there a little bit more to the right, but that's going to have to do for it. We now select the blue country over here in central France, and they're going to be forming a union. Now, as far as who they would actually form a union with, I can't exactly remember who split away from them. Taking a look at the origin map, that doesn't tell us anything. Oh, I just noticed there's a new layer in this game, the terrain layer. Okay, this is actually really cool. So now I can accurately see the terrain of Europe. I kind of wish this was just the base map. I do understand like the white is important for like colonization and stuff, and you wouldn't be able to use like green or gray on this, but I think this would be a pretty cool just base map as is. Anyway though, because of my lack of historical knowledge of my own series, we're gonna have the blue team unite with the seafoam green country, and I can't give you an explanation as to why this would happen. That's because this country was terrified of the gray country who just invaded them and took over a ton of land. Therefore, their best bet was to unite with a much stronger country, and that's exactly what they did. We now get over here to Lower France. We select them. They're going to get a new leader who is going to like to be an isolationist as well as a forest dweller, so he is in a pretty good spot if that's what he wants to pursue. But we select his nation again, and they're going to be getting a medium expand, so it's all for nothing. Now, I don't know exactly what this game means by isolationist, because it could mean like a diplomatic isolationist who doesn't want to interact with other countries, or alternatively, it could mean that he doesn't want to expand his country, being isolated to what he already has. But for the sake of your entertainment, we will be expanding their country, so we finally fill in this area over here in Central Europe. There is just one little pixel here that I somehow missed in the blue France, but for now it's going to have to stay there, and for now we head to our next country, which is going to be Galissia. And they get a large expand, so this is going to be a pretty big day for Galissia. I do believe we're going to move them down the coast of Portugal and not necessarily inland anymore. We might push them up against this mountain range just a little bit more like that, but for the most part, they'll be moving down the coast of Portugal and colonizing all this land down here, also pushing up this hilly / mountainy area, but also following this river. That's a lot of alsos. And I think for the last little bit of the brush, we'll just bring them all the way down Portugal to the tip, just like that. And Galicia is now looking like one of these stronger countries in the world, so I do think we need to add some major cities for them. So I know they just colonized this area and there wouldn't be any major settlements here, but for like future reference, we'll have the city of Lisbon be created. And then to be more realistic, we'll give them a little bit of cities where they actually have population. So Bilbao will get one. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a word like this in Spanish before. This is unfamiliar. We will go ahead and give them one more major city over here in Gijón. So there we go. We have Galicia getting a few more major cities all along the coast, but still all along the populated areas of this country presumptively. Now though, we select Ireland, and they are going to be building a castle. Now I'm not too sure if that should be their #1 priority right now. I do believe they need to expand their country just a little bit more, but you know, we'll give it to them. We'll let them have their castle over here. Maybe if it lets me place it. Hello? Okay, it's not letting me place the castle. So I just reloaded it, and we're just, okay, now it lets me do it. I misplaced it severely, but it's going to be Fort Waterford. Waterford is like over here in this area and up a little bit. So apologies to the Irish viewers. I misplaced that. But anyway, we now go over here to Scotland, and they are going to be getting a small expand. So they can finally leave the northern shore area and move down a little bit into presumptively a little bit of a better area to live in, although not very far, but still. They now kind of surround this channel in here. I've gotten Scotland 4 times in a row, so we're going to do Scotland again, and they're going to get a medium expand. The game really wanted me to play Scotland, so we'll honor it, I guess. Scotland doesn't really get too much attention. We're going to bring them around over to here, so now they have this entire area right here, which this is at this point kind of mimicking the exact borders of Scotland in real life, other than, you know, missing out on all this land up here. But we now get over here to Algeria, a country we really don't talk about too often, but we're going to be talking about them splitting, which is really unfortunate. Now, this entire country covers like modern day Algeria, so there's no other country to make out of this. So instead, we're just going to be calling this thing East Algeria, which, you know, isn't the best of names, but we're going to roll with it. But they're going to fill in this area over here in the east of Algeria, which, you know, that's how they got their name. And their capital city will be right here in Annaba. We get Scotland again. All right, fine, we'll do it. New nation. Never mind Scotland. So at this point, I'm kind of feeling like the central area of the map is a little bit too empty. I know I said earlier that I wanted these countries to fill them in, but we just don't get expansions for these countries, so we're going to take it into our own hands. And the country we're establishing here is going to be the Netherlands. Now, you might be wondering, why is it the Netherlands? They don't really have all of the Dutch land. Well, it's the Netherlands because what other country is here in real life? Let's be honest. But you got to remember to be careful, because when you're forming a new nation, you can take land from other countries, which isn't really the plan here. So we're going to do our utmost best to kind of wrap it around the red team like this, and then also wrap it around the Saxons up here. But my biggest complaint was, in fact, that the central area of Europe is looking a little bit vacant, so we will move the Dutch down into this area, and they will end up looking something like this. So that is a big portion of the map that has been filled in now, finally, by a country. And Amsterdam is like extremely close. I think it's on the border between these two countries, a little bit more in red team territory, so we won't be giving their capital city the name of Amsterdam, but it will be named Lelystad, something like that. Anyway, leaving the area and coming down here to the gold team, they're going to be getting a build castle card, and they're going to be putting it right on the border between them and the Galicians. We'll call it Fort Zarautz. Once again, another Spanish name that I have never really seen before when learning the language. But we get Norway now, and they're going to be building a castle, so I don't know how useful that is for them. They don't border anybody. But we'll go ahead and place it over here in the Fort Christiansand area, which isn't actually a fort in real life, it's a town, but there we go, like that. Sort of. And then for our final turn of the video, we select the brown country over here in Copenhagen. They get a medium expand, so let's go ahead and thicken their coastal areas. But more importantly, we're going to bring them over here to the border of Prussia, as well as up the Baltic coast over here. So they now end up looking something like this, and become a very noteworthy country in the Baltic Sea area, as they do control the entrance to the very Baltic Sea. But like I was just saying, that is going to do it for today's video. I know this video is probably going to be a little bit shorter than the typical Doodle Empire videos, but I simply just don't have the time to record and edit this in time. I'm going home for the weekend, and I won't be able to edit this at home, so I have to do it now. Within the next 2-ish hours. So I'm on a little bit of a time crunch, but I think I'll be able to get it done. Anyway, though, if you guys did enjoy today's video of Doodle Empires, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Once again, all the support is greatly appreciated, as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers relatively soon. We're around 2,500-ish away, so getting super duper close. And once again, when we get like within maybe 100 or 200, I will be going live, and we hopefully will be hitting the milestone live. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there. I don't have a definitive date or time when that takes place. It's just a matter of when we get close. But yeah, thank you guys once again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans. This includes Aiden Shank, Icy Static FN, See What I Do, I Ain't Lying, Pro, CTG on YT, Euroball, Bren, Jazzy Jerboa, Green France Mapping, Nevada Garbage Trucks, Vista, Datehood 7353, and Golden Ball Mapping, Ozgeo, Ixco, Augusto, A Norwegian, RS, Gail Martinez, Zaylance, Holly Edits, Laser Taze, Pablo Sigma Cat, Strider X, Hammer Toad 45, and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.